A very warm welcome on my talk, which is about some modeling stuff. Uh, in the previous lectures, you noticed that there are some regional level tectonic uh, discussions. And now I will talk about some modeling techniques, which include some thing about numerical modeling, kinematic, analog, and the tools or the method which are used during these modeling techniques. As it's shown on the top in the slide, that the topic of the presentation is numerical, kinematic, analog modeling of compressional structures of Potawar and Hazara region, northwestern Himalayan, Pakistan. Uh, Basically, these type of techniques or modeling advanced techniques can be used for any kind of tectonic settings. And these can be used for the better and advanced understanding of geological record, back history, and these type of things. These techniques can be adopted. So in this presentation, I used 4 different phases, which is in first phase, I will introduce the study area, that where the study area is, and then the structural development of the study area, that how the different major structures have been developed in response of different tectonic settings. And after that, I will switch to the phase 2, which is about the numerical modeling. I separate this modeling technique into 2 different parts. First one, I made a numerical model of major thrust of northwestern Himalaya. I introduced 3-4 faults on the basis of their continuity and their division of Himalayas. And then in the second part, I made a numerical model of fractures of carbonate rocks in that area. In phase 3, I did a kinematic modeling of cross section and restore that cross section using different tools and methods. And the purpose of that is to calculate the crustal shortening of the area. And then finally in phase 4, I made a model of which is an analog model, in which I made a sandbox model. In that case, I analog that model with the real data, which is of the same area in which I did my kinematic modeling. So start with the geological setting of the area. As you already know, that the study area is a part of northwestern Himalaya, and there are some divisions of Himalaya. It's about that higher Himalaya, lesser, and sub-Himalaya. And these divisions are divided on the basis of major thrust faults. Like the higher Himalaya, it's from main Karakoram thrust, MKT to MMT. The lesser Himalaya, which is from MMT to main boundary thrust, and the sub-Himalaya, which is from MBT to salt range thrust. Some other structural elements can also be seen in that figure, like Jhelum fault, Kalabagh fault, and Syntaxis. But my focus will be on the numerical, and other stuff will be on the major thrust, which is starting from the south, is salt range thrust to Panjal thrust. This is the part which is considered as a sedimentary part of the northwestern Himalaya, from salt range to Panjal thrust, and there are different thrust faults which I introduce in my numerical modeling stuff. The objective of this talk is to basically verification and prediction of stress pattern along major thrust of northwestern Himalayas. And with using this numerical modeling, is the main focus will be to calculate or to determine the total deformation, and then to understand the stress strain pattern on thrust related geometries. In that thrust related geometries, I already told you that the major thrust and the fracture patterns. In kinematic modeling, the main objective is to modification of structure and stratigraphic cross section of Dunga Gali, Kuza Gali area. And this cross section has been restored by using different modeling techniques. And the main objective is to calculate the total shortening in that particular area. The same cross section has been used for analog modeling. In analog modeling, the main objective is to see that how these thrust formed in an analog framework. So for that, we made a sandbox model, and I will show you in my phase fourth talk. So first of all, the numerical modeling of major thrusts of Northwestern Himalaya. I told you that I introduced in that model 4 major thrusts. But before that, I want to tell you that which modeling technique I use for this numerical modeling. It's basically it's the software known as ANSYS Workbench, and the method which I used is finite element method. ANSYS is used for the major thrust numerical modeling of major thrust, and COMSOL is used for the fracture modeling. In this slide, you can see that there are some boundary conditions. I made a geometry of Northwestern Himalaya, in which I introduced salt range thrust, SRT, MBT, main boundary thrust, NGT, Nathia Gali thrust, and Panjal thrust. And main focus is on the sedimentary part, which is bounded by PT, Punjab thrust in the north, and SRT, salt range thrust in the south. There are some boundary conditions on that geometry. I applied a force from the north side and fixed all the 3 boundaries. Please look at that these 3 boundaries are not bounded in all aspects. These are bounded in x-axis and y-axis, where I allowed the stresses to pass through the y-axis, but restrict on the x-axis side. On the other side, you can see the material properties which I induced in this numerical modeling stuff. For that, I use Young modulus and Poisson's ratio. For sedimentary part, I use 70 GPa of Young modulus and 0.25 Poisson ratio. And for metamorphic region, which is on the north of Panjal thrust, I use 100 gigapascal of Young modulus and 0.25 Poisson's ratio. These are the material properties and boundary conditions which I applied on this numerical technique. After making this geometry and applied this boundary conditions, I meshed the area into different finite elements, which is in this model I use a triangular mesh, which is composed of 3 nodes, and these 3 nodes are connected with the other element, and the total almost more than 8,000 mid nodes and approximately 3,600 contact elements have been generated. As you can see that there are some refinement on the edges of the fault planes. These refinements are because of the rotation and the angle of the fault, that when there is a bend, this rotation, this refinement is on that particular part where that fault is bending or the edges. This is the results of maximum principal stress rotation. You can see that on the metamorphic part, which is shown in the gray color, the stresses are continuously passing through that part. In that case, maximum principal stress is denoted, it can be seen as a blue color, and minimum is in red color. So the metamorphic part allows the stresses to pass through the area, and there is a sudden change in stress rotation, sigma 1 rotation, when it strikes with the Panjal thrust. It's because of the change in material property that I already showed you, that the Panjal thrust above the Panjal thrust is the metamorphic, igneous metamorphic zone, and there the Poisson's ratio is the same, but the Young modulus is about 100 GPa. So this stress rotation is because of the change in that material property. And you can observe that stress rotation, maximum stress rotation along the syntaxis part, and also on the western side of the Panjal thrust. The next stress rotation you can observe at Nathia Gali thrust and MBT, main boundary thrust. These rotations are due to the change in angle of the fault plane. When the maximum principal stress strikes the fault plane, it shows different rotations, clockwise and anti-clockwise. And these rotations are because of the angle of the fault plane. And then maximum rotation can be seen on the eastern side of salt range thrust. And this is also because of the angle of the fault which strikes with the maximum principal stress. So these rotations can, anti-clockwise and clockwise rotation are due to the change in material properties, change in the fault angle, and also the magnitude of the force. Like the force applied from the north is decreasing when it passes through different thrust faults, and it's continues to decreasing towards the south. In the next figure, you can see the total deformation. This total deformation can be seen in different colors, like from red to blue. The red shows the maximum deformation part, and you can observe that there are the arrows are rotating themselves along the edges. This might be due to the edge effect, but there's nothing to do with this tectonics. So the major part in this figure is about the total deformation, which started from the north towards the south. And when it passes through the different boundaries, discontinuities, that changes. So another figure, which I will show you in the next one slide, is that according to LOL 1995, this sigma 1 strike, if a sigma 1 strikes with the faults, that can rotate anti-clockwise or clockwise, and that is because of the alignment or of the major thrust. There might be a thrust fault if there is a head-on compression, and there might be a possibility of having a strike slip component, dextral or sinistral, depending upon the angle of the fault. So with this, the next part is the numerical modeling of fracture carbonates. And in that modeling, I used a Lockhart limestone, which is a producing reservoir in the study area. So what I did, I used a circle inventory method and collected the data of Lockhart limestone from the area which is located near MBT. So main motive is to get the maximum data from the field and use that circle inventory method and apply all the data and form a numerical model and also a paleo stress model. But here I will show you the numerical model of the fracture pattern. As you can see on the left side, there is a Lockhart limestone, and the fracture pattern can be observed in that figure. So what I did, I used a COMSOL model, and I made the geometry of these fractures. And the main purpose or motive is to find the flow of fluid. If we passes a fluid from this type of geometry, what will be the result of that? So for that, I made two models, in which in first model, I applied the pressure from the left side and try to see the outcome when it comes from the other side. Like if we passes the fluid from the left side, what will be the outcome of that? So in that case, I used different inputs and with different velocities. So I tried from 20, 40, and 60, 80, and then 100 Pascal pressure, and according to that, different velocities. As you can see that the red arrow shows the inlet process and green is the outlet. So that process is quite impressive, but still we need some more output, like the inlet is 100, if inlet is 100, so we need the output is the maximum. But in that case, we didn't find too much outlet. So what we did, we made another model and tried to put the pressure from the underneath, downside. So now this model is much more effective than the previous one. That you can see in that model, if we put the pressure like same 20, 40, 60, and then 100 Pascal. So this shows the better results as compared to the previous one. So if we have these type of geometries, so the main motive is to get the maximum results, maximum output results. So these kind of geometries can be used for permeability, fracture modeling, and these type of steps, and then this can be useful for hydrocarbon exploration. The next phase is about the kinematic modeling and structural restoration. So the study area can be seen in this figure. It's near the Kusa Gali, Dunga Gali area, and the highlighted red square can be seen on that figure. So what I did, the main objective of that kinematic modeling is basically the modification of structural and stratigraphic cross-section of Dunga Gali, Kusa Gali area, and then using different techniques to restore that cross-section, and to main motive is to calculate the total shortening of that particular area. For that purpose, I used a move software, which is we have that academic license from the company Midland Valley, and in that case I basically performed that kinematic modeling in 2 steps. First, I did a move on fault use a move on fault module in which I try to eliminate the slip of the fault, and then the second case I use the unfolding module in which all these folds are unfolded, and then we can see a straight line or straight bed, which is used by the flexural slip method. This is the cross section of the area. There are some structural elements. You can see that Ayubia synclinorium, Dunga Gully fault, Kundla anticlinorium, Nathia Gully synclinorium, and finally on the north is NGT. So the area is near NGT and in the north of MBT, and there is a cross section of AA dash can be seen on that part. In that area, in that cross section, I introduced that major synclinorium and fault, and then anticlinorium in the north side. And this is on the right side, you can see the formations which I introduced in that part after the mapping of the area, and the the stratigraphic topology can be seen on the left side. The main motive is to get the calculate the shortening of that area, but before that, how this shortening can be calculated. In that cross section, the total shortening along the cross section is determined with this equation, where delta L is a change in length, which is basically equal to final length minus initial length. L final is a post deformation length, and the initial is pre deformation length. And the percentage of the shortening is determined from the equation which is given below, that E is equal to L final minus L initial divided by L initial into 100. That shortening can be calculated into percentage. So for that, this is the cross section of the area, in which I divided the cross section into 4 different blocks. Block A, B, C, D, and on the left side, which is much of the part of the above side is eroded, but I use that as a block E, and introduce different faults in that. 4 faults are introduced in that cross section, and very intense folding can be seen in this one. So what I did, I restore that cross section one by one. On the left upper left corner, you can see the block A is restored, and point joins the, if you take a marker bed as a green one, so we can see that the if we move the fault block A towards downward, so that combines with this green bed over here. And in that second phase, model, you can see that I slip the fault of along the fault of second fault, and the block B moves downward, and you can see that the continuity of this lowermost part sediments can be seen in the single part, and then the third one, and finally the fourth one. So you can see that I move the different blocks along the slip of the fault and join these faults, these sediments, and showing finally in the last all blocks have been moved downward. And then what I did, now I need to use a marker bed which can be used to unfold all the area. So for that, in this block A was unfolded, and you can see that the marker bed is unfolded and becomes a straight line. And then the second one, the same likewise with the third one, and finally all the blocks are unfolded with the same datum point. So this all has been done by using unfolding module. And then this is a combined picture which shows the unfolded and the slipped blocks, where all the blocks are in the same pattern, and this all for this marker bed is unfolded, and you can observe this shortening along this area. So what we calculated is that we take a datum about 2,250 meters above the section, and that increase the length of the restoration is about 2,897, or roughly 2,900, and the total shortening which we calculated is about 39.9%. So these are the results of kinematic modeling. What I did, that I used the same cross section and try to make an analog model of that area. So in that case, the study area is the same, and these are the formations with different thicknesses in the area, and we applied these formations, different formations in that sandbox model. So the objective is to analyze the deformation and shortening and the sand which is developed in the experimental lab. And by using these type of models, analog models, we can compare this with the real real life strata, real life data, and then we can compare the results from experiments and the real natural results. So this is the sandbox model which we prepared in the lab, and you can see that there are different layers of formations. These layers are basically of showing different lithologies of the area, and you can see there are some lateral and vertical scales. And these are the, if you can see clearly, these are the formations which I introduced in that model, and these basically composed of sand, clay, and some other stuff. So this is a schematic diagram of that model. The different formations can be seen in the horizontal layer that we are in the pre-deformation stage. So what I did, I applied a force from the right side, and at this almost 5 centimeter, we got a thrust, which I named as F1. Basically, this analog model is attached with the pulley, from where we can apply the force. So we applied the force, and then we made we can see that there is a fault which is named as F1. And the total shortening right now is about 5 centimeter. The next step, we introduce the force further towards from right to northwest to southeast, and we observe another fault which developed almost in the same angle. And the thickness of the sediments can be observed from this side. In the next one, further towards south and southeast, another faults have been generated, which we now named that. We named that basically these faults on the basis of the literature, but then in that part I've named it as a F3 fault, and then finally F4. So these are the results of analog model which performed in the lab, and this is the aerial view of these faults. As you can see that in fault, when the fault 1 generated, it's about time 21 seconds, and total shortening is 5 centimeter. There is also in the aerial view, there is a splay of that fault, which is connected for them with the major thrust. And in the second part, there is about time of 34 seconds, and the total shortening is 9 centimeter, and the second fault generated. And then in third figure, left corner, you can see the time is about 63 seconds, and the total shortening is 16 centimeter. And finally, these 4 faults have been generated, and you can see these 4 faults in aerial view. So with this, I conclude my talk and try to integrate all this modeling stuff in one slide. That during the numerical modeling stuff results, we shows that the pronounced stress rotation occurred along the major thrust in northwestern Himalaya, and the major thrust rotation occurs between lesser Himalaya and sub-Himalaya. This is due to the change in material property. And significant slice movement also occurred along different segments of major thrust, which is due to the change in the angle of the fault. In kinematic modeling, the structural complexity in the area is due to the tectonic forces that generated in the north, which is obviously the compression regime, and the average shortening is mapped is about 39%. And the area, it's concluded that the area is deformed by different forces applied in different geological times. Analog model, which we made in the experimental lab, and the maximum principal stress acted from the northwest side, and the variation in the structural element suggests that the deformation occurred in different phases of different time by different stresses. So with this, I end my presentation. If you have any question, you can ask me.